Today we look into the face of death and we tell them no. That we have a tiny little zombie who can out-heal just about anything that you could possibly throw at her. We're not scared of weakly bosses that can typically one-shot you. And we're definitely not scared of that corrosion mechanic in Spiral Abyss. She may have ruined our pity numerous times, but now she's our saving grace. It's time to put respect back on Qiqi's name. Hello everyone, today we're going to be going over my Immortal Qiqi build. Most veteran players will probably already know about this build, but I wanted to make it anyway just in case you aren't utilizing your Qiqi to her maximum healing potential. With the coming of Corrosion in Spiral Abyss Floor 11, and the possibility that there might be enemies that can ignore shields in the future, healers are going to become more and more valuable as we progress through Genshin Impact. As you probably already know, Qiqi is not the best damage dealer, that's why she's actually dropped very far down into tier lists. But today we're going to be taking full advantage of her very good healing abilities, so that you'll never have to worry about dying ever again. If you were looking for a DPS Qiqi, then this is not the build for you. However, if you want to face roll content and not worry about healing ever again, then you picked the perfect video to watch. If you do end up finding this video helpful at all, please feel free to leave me a like and comment down below. I'd really appreciate it, and it does help me boost into the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more Genshin Impact content from me, then feel free to subscribe. We actually just broke 5,000 subs on this channel, and I would love to have you along for the ride towards 10,000. Alright, and with all that out of the way, let's get into the build. So with this build, we're actually sacrificing a lot of damage and only focusing on her healing potential. You might end up overhealing with this build, but it's better to overheal than underheal, and as more and more difficult content comes out, I want you guys to have access to a build that will keep you alive in almost any situation. I'm also going to try to give you guys a few different options so that you can tweak this build to fit your playstyle needs. So as you can see, my Qiqi is actually level 80 out of 90, and her attack is at 1,674. This means that her attack can actually be raised by quite a bit, and you can invest even more into this character if you want to. As for her elemental mastery, it is at 0. You can have it higher, but it's not really important if you're just focusing on healing. Her crit rate and crit damage also don't really matter since we're not really focusing on damage with this build. But what is important to this build is her energy recharge, which is sitting at a very comfy 228.2% energy recharge. This is super important because it means that you're going to be able to get her burst up very consistently and whenever you need it to be. It can definitely be a lot lower than this. It can probably be as low as 160, but I got lucky and most of my artifact rolls went into energy recharge. You'll also notice that her healing is at 67.5%, which is going to be one of the big contributors to how much she heals your party members. Also, just letting you guys know that this build does not have any physical damage bonus or cryo damage bonus, and I'll get to why I did that in just a little bit. But as for her weapon, I'm actually running a Sacrificial sword. It's only level 70 out of 90, so it can be a lot higher, which will give her a lot more base attack. The reason why I picked the Sacrificial sword even above any 5-star weapon is because it allows you to proc your skill multiple times, which is extremely important for getting up consistent heals. Although Qiqi's skill does have a very long duration, it also has an incredibly long cooldown, so being able to trigger it multiple times or always have it in your back pocket is going to be extremely valuable. However, at the same time, I probably wouldn't recommend the Sacrificial sword unless you at least have 1 or 2 refinements on it. Otherwise, the skill reset will probably be very inconsistent and you might as well go with another weapon. The next best weapon is probably going to be the Skyward sword, which is a 5-star, so you might not have it. But if you do, the energy recharge substat is extremely valuable, and you will also be able to get bigger heals with this weapon because you are going to have a higher base attack. Another really great 4-star option is going to be the Favonius sword because it will give you more energy not only to Qiqi but the entire team. And if you don't have any of these weapons, you can always go for attack substat weapons because they will give you bigger heals, but remember we're going for consistency, not the highest healing number. And as you may have guessed by now, we are running the 4-piece Maiden Beloved set. This is because the 2-piece set gives you an additional healing effectiveness of plus 15%, while the 4-piece set, using a skill or elemental burst, increases healing received by all party members by 20% for 10 seconds. As for what goes where, you're going to want an attack sand, you're going to want a healing bonus circlet, and you're going to want an attack goblet. Obviously, the healing bonus circlet is going to increase your healing across the board, but attack is also super important since all of Qiqi's abilities scale off attack. Of course, if you are feeling like you have way too much healing, you can always sacrifice the healing bonus hat for crit rate or crit damage or attack, and you can always swap out the goblet for a cryo bonus damage cup or a physical damage bonus cup. But since we're focusing on healing, we're going to stick with these stats. As for constellations, as you can see, I have lost pity many times, and I have her at C5, However, none of these really affect her healing except for her Constellations 3 and 5, but if you do look at my talents, they're actually only maxed out at 10, which is still achievable by free-to-play players. However, I personally recommend not leveling them up past 8 because you probably don't need them to be any higher than that. So as you'll be able to see from these clips, this is an extremely tanky set, and this is really nice because it'll allow you to face roll just about any content in the game. This will be especially nice for players that have difficulty dodging enemies' attacks, players that don't have a good shielding unit like Zhongli, or newer players that just haven't memorized all the attack patterns from enemies. Essentially, it allows you to make way more mistakes and not really worry about the consequences. And even for more veteran players, as we get into harder and harder content, it's always nice to know that Qiqi will have our backs whenever we need solid healing. Yes, you will lose a lot of DPS by using this set, however you do have 3 other party members that you can fully build into to meet certain DPS checks. Keep in mind that MiHoYo will probably add more mechanics into the game that hit you through shields, so having good healing units is going to be extremely valuable moving forward. For the rest of the video, I'm going to quickly show you guys a clear of floor 11 chamber 1, only using Ganyu and Qiqi as a support unit. Because Qiqi is able to heal me so consistently, I don't really have to worry too much about corrosion or the enemies that are hitting me. And because I've invested so much into my Ganyu in terms of power, I'm still able to blast through this chamber with a relatively good time that will allow me to get 9 stars with another team. At first I did find it a little bit disingenuous that MiHoYo was kind of forcing healing back into the meta, however now I'm actually pretty happy about it because I think that it's way more healthy for the game long term. For a very long time, characters like Qiqi and Barbara have just been sitting in people's inventories because they haven't had much use in endgame content. But by adding mechanics like corrosion to the Spiral Abyss, as well as probably harder content in the future, these characters are finally able to shine again. I think it's really important for all of us to realize that it is important for Genshin Impact to constantly change up its meta so that every character is able to shine at one point or another. Well, except if you're like C0 Amber, in which case you're just gonna suffer no matter what. But it's still very nice to know that although MiHoYo is basically shoving Kokomi down all of our throats, even though I am very excited and am going to summon for her, it's nice that we do still have other characters that can fill the role pretty well, like Qiqi, Jean, and Barbara. I actually wasn't planning on making this guide, but I saw a lot of people in my comments saying that they were struggling with the new Spiral Abyss, and I wanted to let them know that Qiqi was a very viable option. And while I know that she is a 5-star and not everyone has one, a lot of people have lost their 50/50s to her and have been very disappointed that they had her when she's actually extremely useful now. So, Qiqi owners, please rejoice. Know that you have a very good character that is good for healing, and although she may not deal a lot of damage, that's not important right now, and I think that it's going to become less important as we move into the game. Alright guys, that's all for now. I hope that this video helps out a few people, and if you did enjoy the video, please feel free to leave me a like and comment down below. It really does help me out. But I think that's all that I have to say for today, so until next time, best wishes, bye.